Alrighty, welcome back. First live in what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that. I know I took the last 2 weeks off. I was supposed to be switching this over from Streamlabs to just straight OBS. That didn't happen. We're still on Streamlabs. I didn't want to push this off another week, and I haven't had time to do the OBS thing. So we're here. I don't know if anybody's even here. I don't think anybody's here yet, which is fine. Maybe they're here. Maybe they're not. But anyway, we still got our normal stuff. We got our donation cup in that corner down there. We have our stream boss in over here. God, it's so confusing to figure out where you got to point to.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got old man Team Mechanic up here. Well, Team Mechanic. If you're looking for him on YouTube, it's Team Mechanic. Nickname Old Man.
It's actually like even every time I join, it just says Team Mechanic there, and I'm wondering if it's still going to show the old man, and it always does. And
well, hey, you now have a stream nickname.
I do. Yeah, it's a good one. It's gonna stick.
If it was ever something you didn't want, well, it would go away. But I'm not into making the people that are on this live or in the chat miserable. But we can poke holes at them.
Well, yeah, no, I like it. It's a lot better than that nickname follows me everywhere. Follows me through school and in car clubs and even in this damn live stream. I mean, my science teacher jumped on that old man.
Well, that's where we got it from. Was your story? So.
Oh yeah, right. Oh man, that happened that long ago. Holy cow! Wow. But yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, we can have a little bit of fun. We got Grant here. Grant was just on Narx's live a couple hours ago. I didn't get to actually watch the live stream, but I did catch it on my thing. So I'll have to go back and go watch Narx's live a little bit later. I know that he just built a whole set to do his live streams in his shop. So I know that like I said, I know Grant was on Narx's live earlier today. Narcoleptics. Yeah, right. No, I cannot say. I'm gonna have to go look it up now because I always just call it Narcs. Actually, Grant, if you could put his the name of his channel, because like I said, I just know it is Narcs, and I think everybody that watches him knows who Narcs is. But if you haven't watched his channel, it's Narcs something customs, I think. But hello Jesse, hello Grant, welcome to the live. Like I said, I don't know who's going to show up tonight. I don't plan on being here super long. I have a special thing I have to go do first thing tomorrow morning. It involves having to have cleaned out a spot in the garage to stick something, and tomorrow morning I have to go pick it up. So yeah, there's going to be a project in the garage for the first time. Well, since we've owned the house. Actually, shouldn't say it's the first. Well, do I have to say thank you every single time I mention it? Apparently, I have to say thank you every time that I mention that I get to use the garage. I guess you'll have to wait and find out, Jesse. I'll clarify. It's bringing a project back to the channel. There you go. It's narcoleptic. It was narcoleptic. Narcs. I cannot pronounce. I have had a migraine literally all day from the time I woke up this morning until currently at the moment. The only thing that's been keeping it at bay is Excedrin.
Right.
So if my brain's a little messed up today, that would be why.
Right.
But yeah, it isn't the first thing I've worked on in the garage. I actually just finally, after like 3 or 4 years, finally fixed the nose on our green Kia. We had gone over the river and through the woods one snowy day. Missed everything. Didn't hit a damn thing. Went to go pull out of this person's yard after missing everything. And right at the edge of their driveway, they apparently had some railroad ties buried in the snow that we didn't see. We were doing like maybe less than 5 miles an hour and hung the whole front end up on the top of this railroad tie.
Wow.
Completely screwed all the bodywork on the lower front of the bumper. So all the
Wow.
plastics, everything. It just wiped it all out. The fog lights, everything. So yeah, I'd say right after we moved here, I took a trip up to Connecticut to go pick up a front bumper. The only front bumper we could find that was not like a ridiculous freaking price. They were going used, just the what do they make bumpers out of anymore?
Bumper
The
covers the fiberglass plastic
Yeah,
thing.
it's not fiberglass because fiberglass is stiff. This is
Oh,
like a
oh
squishy.
yes, or no, yeah, no. It's like it's not ABS plastic. I always forget the name of it,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
forget what kind of type of plastic it is.
yeah, it's fun plastic.
Um, but but yeah, so like we were finding just that part of it. Not all of the
Well,
grills or the trim
might be the
pieces
bumper
or
cover.
anything. It was just the cover for like $600 and up, and that was for a used one. And then we couldn't find one in the green, which is what her color is. Um, Brand new ones unpainted were even more expensive, and again didn't come with everything else that you needed to put in the bumper anyway. But we ended up finding this one up in Connecticut that was green, and it was like less than $500. So drove all the way up there to Connecticut to go pick it up and bring it back. And the funny thing is, that bumper is the size of the inside of the Kia. It is
Yeah,
absolutely. It actually, I laid it out in front of my workbench in my other half of the garage. It is the length of
yeah.
the workbench in my other side of the garage. It's
It's you
huge.
never quite grasp the how the
Well, the
size of
car
things
doesn't
based off of
look
the bumper.
big. Like
It
when you put the
doesn't.
car out by itself, not near any other cars, it does not
It
look
doesn't.
big. It looks tiny.
Yep.
But it is actually a pretty decent sized car.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Is it I mean, it's a pretty short car though, isn't it? Isn't it like
Yeah, this
shorter
car's
than a
short, but it's
Civic?
pretty wide. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say it's
okay.
too short though, because I mean, literally, you can fit 5 people in that car as comfortably as you can fit in my truck. And I have a
Huh,
full 4-door truck.
right, but it's a Chrysler product. So,
That's still pretty roomy.
I'm
Um,
just kidding.
but yeah, so I mean, it's not really. I would say the car's almost as big as the cab of my truck.
Hmm. Wow. Do you think well, a better question size comparison asks, you think you could drive it either into or onto the bed of your truck? Like if
No,
you were to put a
that car is way
platform
bigger than the bed of my truck.
that would be well, you could put I'm sure you could put the piece of plywood on top of the
No,
bed and then
actually,
just
no. That truck
continue
is
going.
longer than the bed of my truck. My truck's a 6 foot bed. That
That's
car is
true.
definitely longer than 6 feet.
Yeah. Oh, for sure it is.
I would
Yeah.
say
I'm
that
just
car
I'm
is
just
probably a good 11 to 12 feet long.
wow, that long, eh?
I don't know. I'd have to go
Okay,
look it
so
up.
I wonder. Well, it'll probably wheelbase bumper to bumper. I can look it up.
Jesse says that it has no cargo room in it. You'd actually be amazed. Again, the amount of space in the back of that car too. There's a good 2 feet of. I mean, no, it's not the size of a truck, but there's a good 2 feet behind the back of that seat, the last seat, and the tailgate. And then if you lay those back seats down, you probably almost has the size of the bed of my truck. If you lay the two back seats down, so from the front seats to the tailgate, I would say it's probably a good almost 5 feet. So I mean, I got a 6 foot bed in the truck, but you're muted, team. Um, there's Streamlabs spamming. Um, but yeah, I mean that car's like I said, that car's a lot bigger than you would think it would be. Um,
So it's actually wider than it is high. And it's
you went
oh,
and looked it up,
it's 13.3 I think was the number, or 13.4 feet long, which is cool. And it's
which
five
is
5 foot
not
8.
much shorter than my Trans Am. My Trans Am is 17 feet long.
17 feet long. My Cadillac is almost 19 feet, I think.
Yeah. So Trans Am is only 2 feet shorter than your Cadillac.
No, not bad.
But granted, there's an extra like 2 feet of fucking nose on the front of that Trans Am.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
all bumper. it's there's nothing. It's just like from the front, the where the hood closes is actually the front of the car, and everything in front of the hood. So that whole nose piece, it's all it is. It's all nose piece. That's it.
Why, that's true. Man.
And
Yeah,
the thing
yeah,
is the
that's true.
Camaros don't have that big of a nose.
No, not in comparison to the Trans Ams,
Yeah, the Trans Am has a much
the
bigger nose.
Firebird. Yeah, yeah,
So
they
it's like
do.
you said, it's 13 feet long.
Yeah,
How wide is it?
5'8",
Yeah, see,
five foot
it's
eight.
like as I said, that thing that front bumper is pretty long, and the thing is, it's not
Yeah,
even it's freaking huge, like height wise too. You know,
yeah, exactly.
and it actually sticks out quite a bit too. It's because it wraps
Yeah,
around the to the wheel wells,
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like
exactly.
it's a
It's
pretty big
front
piece of
fascia, basically.
plastic.
It's not even like it's a bumper. I don't even call them bumpers anymore. I call them crunchers, but that's not a bumper. That's like a
No, I
front
actually,
fascia.
well, when I went and picked up,
It's
when the funny thing
oh,
is again, remember I told you I was looking at like $600 and some for a used
yeah,
just the plastic.
yeah,
Um, when I went to go pick it up in Connecticut, when I went to go pick it up, I was expecting to just have to pick up, hey, I was only expecting the plastic. I wasn't expecting all of the, everything.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because yeah, it came with everything
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the center upper grill. That's the only thing it didn't come with.
You already had that, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
the one on the original bumper was fine. It's everything that
fine.
was
Yeah,
below. I would say below the mid part of the bumper. Everything below that was trashed on
right.
the old one. Um, but it also came with the structural actual crash bar.
Really? So it came with the bumper itself.
Yeah. So I
That's
was like,
nice.
well, damn. So now we can actually sell the crash bar and the extra trim pieces that were still good on the old bumper.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, most of
Oh,
that bumper is
makes you money.
garbage, but like there's the little tiny trim pieces that go underneath the headlights. Those are still
Yeah,
good, and they were like $35 a pop on eBay.
make some money on that.
So
That's a good deal right
yeah,
there.
I
Wow.
don't know how much to sell the crash bar for, but I mean, you can sell a couple pieces off of that freaking bumper and at least get some of your money back.
Yeah. You could sell a crash bar for more than $100 for sure, I would think. That's for sure. Um,
Apparently, the
I mean,
Bronco 2 is just about the same size as the Kia.
yeah.
I told you they're not
Oh
small
boy.
cars. They just
Oh,
look
man.
small.
That is actually shocking to me. Because a Bronco,
I
you
have no
just,
idea
I
what
mean,
the
a Bronco
wheelbase is on the Kia, but the wheels are pretty damn
uh,
close to the edge of the car, so I would assume
mhm,
the wheelbase is not far off from its total length.
has a 100.4-inch wheelbase.
Well, how many feet is that? That's you're
Yeah.
gonna make me do math.
I can do it. I can do it.
You're younger. Your brain works faster.
Yeah, no, I don't. It doesn't. 8.3 ish
All right, so it
feet.
8.3,
Feet. Yeah.
so 8 feet 4 inches.
Yeah. It's like 8.34, so you'd round down to 8.3. But yeah, so I mean, I guess wow, the Broncos got a smaller
So yeah,
wheelbase than yeah.
and it's got a lower center of gravity than the Bronco. So
Oh, that is crazy.
the funny thing
That
is,
is
the
insane.
inside of the Kia, it has a tip over warnings on the sun visors. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. On the
yeah,
Kia? Wow, that is cool. That is that is actually cool to me.
you know what?
I
Actually,
mean,
yeah, to do a fucking put a Kia body on a Bronco.
that would be cool.
No, you just have to stretch the Bronco frame just a little bit in the center.
Yep.
It's a
So
lot
actually, I have to
easier to stretch
stretch
the
the truck
Bronco
frame.
frame than it would be to shorten the body.
Wow. It is insane that you have to stretch the truck frame to put the car body on it.
Yeah, I mean the thing,
It
you only have
does.
to stretch the car frame like 10 inches. I mean
Oh,
the Bronco frame like 10 inches. You could fucking
yeah.
like I said,
Well,
you could
yeah.
do that right in the
That's
middle.
it. Mhm.
You
Is
just
it?
just do a you could just do a zigzag and then
Yep.
box the frame in when you're done, and boom, there you go. Hey
Yeah.
Jess. I now know how to bring chaos into its next evolution. We'll just drop Chaos's body on top of a Bronco frame. Then you could have a lifted. We I have a picture of that green car, with the 33 by 12 and a half mudders that I have on my truck. I
Mhm.
literally just have the tires rolled up, where the wheel wells are on the Kia, and just have it sitting there, and it looks like a mud Kia. Um, but it's
Wow.
funny because we took a picture of it, and the wheels were like perfectly spaced there for it. And
Hmm.
Jess was like, "Hey, it's the next evolution of the Kia, because the green Kia's name is Chaos."
Right.
Um,
You have a gray one too, right?
yeah, we have
Right.
it's like a silver. That one
Silver, yes.
is that Bella? What's the other one? Jess, what's the other Kia's name? Oh, Ellie, for
Yeah.
what is it short for? Cinderella.
Wow.
So yeah, the gray one's name is Ellie, and the green one's name is Chaos. So Chaos's next evolution, which would be the mud Kia, would have been
Mhm.
Anarchy. So
Anarchy.
Chaos evolves into Anarchy. Because
Wow.
Jess is like a Pokemon fan, so
Right.
the Kia would
That's
evolve.
Pokemon related?
Huh?
I didn't even know that was Pokemon related.
No,
I
no, no.
didn't
It's
know.
it's it's just the evolutions.
Right. Okay.
Because the
Yes. Exactly.
Pokemon evolve into a better Pokemon.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, so what's a step? Is there a step up above Anarchy if you decide to make it a monster truck?
Mm, yeah, I think we had one. Jess,
Man.
what was after Anarchy? I don't. It was a while ago. I just remember the Anarchy one because it was Chaos, Anarchy, and then I think we did have a third one,
Right. Hmm.
but I don't remember what it was.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know, Cat. I mean, I apparently we're talking about mud Kias, and
We were talking about the green Kia evolving into evolving into a better form of itself as a lifted Kia with mud tires on it.
on a Bronco frame, right? Or not on a
Well,
Bronco frame.
at the time that we originally came up with the name, it
Well, yeah, we
wasn't.
were okay. So that's what brought us into it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's because we were the Jesse was talking about the wheelbase of his Bronco and the wheelbase of the Kia,
right,
and that evolved from actually the Kia just getting a front bumper change. But
right. Wow, who knows? So much conversation could come
this is
from a
what
Kia.
happens when you have a bunch of people with ADHD holding uh, having a podcast together with I don't know if you
Right,
have ADHD. I have ADHD.
right. Now they
I don't
wanted to
want to
diagnose me
assume.
with ADHD, but I didn't. Actually don't officially have it. They wanted to diagnose me so bad, but I just mm-mm. So
Wait, so
I'm
a
like
Ford Explorer sports frame is 102 inches and
yeah,
68 inches wide.
nice.
I forget how wide did you say the Kia was?
5'8", 5'8", so
And what's that
seventy
in
point three inches. 70.3 inches.
74?
70 inches. 70.3. So
Yeah. Oh
70
yeah.
inches.
No, yeah. That would be another good freaking choice. I
I
know where a 91 Ford Explorer is. My mom has one.
have there's one at
I
my
think it's
school,
my
man.
mom. I think that's what she has. Maybe it's a little newer one. But I know
Hmm.
that they have two of them. The one is a V6 with a 5-speed manual all-wheel drivetrain. There is very few of them with that. People actually say that it doesn't exist. It was actually um, it was an old like Forester truck.
Right.
So it has the 5-speed. I think it's a 5-speed manual transmission, but it has an all-wheel drive transfer case.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty. That thing for it not being very big, it definitely has no problem getting places. But the funny thing is the transmission is a Mazda transmission.
On which part? On which one?
Ford Explorer with a
Right,
V6 has
right,
a
right, right, right.
Mazda 5-speed transmission and an all-wheel drive transfer case. Not four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive.
That's bizarre to me. Huh? All-wheel drive. And what year is that? Did you say 81 or 91?
It's a mid 90s. It's a 90s something, I think. Maybe early 2000s. I don't know the exact year of it.
Does it have the more round headlights or the square first gen headlights?
Round year.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's 96 or 98 Ford Explorer at my school that needs an engine. I think it has the man, not the Iron Duke. That's GM. What's the one I'm thinking of? Vulcan.
Yeah,
The Vulcan.
M50D is what Grant is saying it is.
Right. Yeah, honestly, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the softball mom SUV market,
I
but
don't know. He beats the snot out of that thing. He's got more lights than a freaking football stadium on it. Um,
oh, nice.
he's customized the interior. He's got a custom wooden console in it.
That's pretty cool. I wanted to do that in the Cadillac. Actually, I was gonna make a walnut center console, center control stack, whatever you want to call it, in the back seat. And I was gonna have there's gonna be lights, and you'd be able to do that. And then I thought to myself, no, because this is not a retro mod car right here. So I'm trying to I've got one of my subscribers actually is really helping me out finding like the TV that it came with originally, which I would love to put that back in. So we're
And we've
working
had the
on
whole
that.
conversation on that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
we
and I
could
would love.
retrofit it to make it look like an original TV, but use an LCD modern screen in it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he's gonna try and find the original one, and apparently you can buy kits that you just remove the guts of the old TV and put in something this big instead of this big, and then it you can actually make it work and pick up digital instead of
oh, that's
analog
cool.
signals. So
Hey,
that's
whatever
what
you can get to work to make it the way you want it.
yeah. Well,
Hey, I think that's the first
nice.
time we've had that. Thank you, Kat.
All right.
That is awesome.
And did you see are you watching the live?
And hit the pace car.
You just missed
Hit the
one of my
pace
new
car.
animations pop
What
up.
for? Because you didn't have
Oh,
a goddamn thing out
here,
there.
I think I'm
want you to be
behind.
pumped.
Yeah, I'm behind.
The funny thing is it's still going.
Oh yeah, I see that now.
Oh, there it goes.
Nice.
But yes, thank you very much, Kat. Definitely appreciate it. It will definitely help with I am kind of not having any income at the moment, so
Right. Well,
like I said, hopefully I don't get my freaking stream demonetized because the little tiny bit of freaking music that was in that. But
there was
yeah,
music in
so
it.
I have a, and I keep playing with this stupid. I have one of those things for the Dremel down here that has a freaking light on it, and I keep playing with it because
Yeah.
I'm fidgeting. But yeah, I made a new one for the super chats, which is that one.
That's awesome.
And then I made a new one for the PayPal, and I don't have a new one for the subscriber one, but I did a new one for the super chats and the PayPal donations. But like I said, I have a project to bring back to the channel that we're going to go pick up first thing tomorrow morning. It's an hour and a half drive down to where it's sitting, and I have to go pick it up and bring it back here, which is why I had to clean out the garage. Hopefully I can fit it in the garage. So, and yeah, for me to be able to do anything with that anytime soon, I'm gonna need some cash flow. So
Just give me one moment.
I was not spilling that beans yet. I already spilled enough. I said it was a past project.
Okay. If you're still on in a bit, which you probably will be, I'll hop back on. But I gotta head out for a bit. Let me just do this here.
All right. I don't think I'm only gonna probably be on here for till 10.
Oh yeah, I'll be back before that.
Um.
Well, actually, yeah, that's less than an hour, but
Well, Jesse,
yeah.
my garage is still partly filled with stuff from moving.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Thought
play
I
it
should.
again, huh? Thank you, Joseph.
No problem. I wasn't trying to copycat or anything. I was just kind of like, I've never done that before. I figured I
Yeah.
may as
Well,
well.
thank you. Oh, here we go.
No
We're gonna
problem.
wait for this to finish playing. It's 7 seconds long.
Oh, nice.
Well, we're still
I'm actually gonna get the chance to
I
watch
want you
it
to
here.
back out on that track and hit the pace car. Hit the pace car? Hit the
Hit
pace
the pace
car.
car.
What for? Because you hit
One of
every
my
other
favorite movies
goddamn
as a
thing
kid.
out there. I want you to be perfect. Now go on, go.
Oh, I love it.
That's nice.
I had to put something that made me. I could not stand the stupid girl with the cash. I felt so crappy every time. I felt like, like you ever watch the people that do that whole freaking like cash flex shit on like their Instagram posts and stuff like that?
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
Oh.
I just felt so douchey. I just felt like, it's one thing. Okay, thank you for donating to the stream and donating to, what I'm trying to bring to you guys so I can make content, and everything else, but that just felt like being greedy. Like I was disrespecting the person that super chatted. That's what it felt like.
Well,
And
I
couldn't
don't.
do it.
I don't think anyone else felt that way. I don't know.
And we need
I like
to have a
that
moment of silence. We need a moment of silence for Katarina's tripod mount.
What? Oh, I'm missing
Moment of
that. Okay.
silence.
Well, I do have to head out. So now.
Hold on. Hat off. Moment of silence. But that's Kat. That's why I have like 3-4 tripods, and I now have like 4 or 5 different cell phone mounts.
I only have one cell phone mount. That's the thing. My
Because I
tripod
learned that lesson already. I don't know if I have it in here. I think it's out in the garage. But there's this style that I have here, which looks like it's kind of hard to see, but it's just the stretchy one.
Nice.
But it's made out of nice thick plastic. There's another one that I have that just has a wire hoop, which I think is the one that Kat has. And oh my god, those things are so fragile. Every time you even like bump the tripod, it shatters. The base of it's made out of like a really hard, brittle plastic, and it just shatters.
Oh,
and we've gone through so many of those ones that it's like I learned you just buy a couple because you're bound to break them.
Or just buy good ones.
Well, they're actually not bad ones. They're actually decently priced. It's just they're brittle.
Right.
I like them better than these style, but
I get it out for half an hour. We'll see if I can hop back. We'll see. All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
But yeah, the cat knocked it over and knocked the brass out of it. What do you mean, like the little piece inside that has the threads? Because you could probably just glue that back, unless it broke the plastic around the brass. But yeah. I don't know. You might try fixing it before you decide to throw in a towel on it. Even if it's only a temporary fix till the new one comes in. I forgot I had this one sitting out. The knockoff GoPro that I use. And then I have the 2 cell phones. Can't fix it without breaking the plastic more. Oh, that sucks. Just freaking duct tape and hot glue. Fix everything. But yeah, so we have the new project coming in. Cleaned out the garage over the weekend. Well, actually, all last week and this weekend. It's not cleaned completely out, but it should be enough to be able to get the project in the garage, hopefully. It's going to be an all-day thing tomorrow. Project update. I ended up having to strip the paint off of this. Going to paint it again. you're a modeler, you know the spoon test. And I did 3 spoons. I don't know how good this is coming out as far as color-wise. Do I even have this on 720? Yeah, I do. But this is gloss black with Tester's dull coat. Like I said, I don't know how well that's coming out. This one is gloss black with, I think it's Mr. Colors matte clear. Thank you, Jesse. I guess I should just wait because it's gonna play any second. Maybe it's gonna make a fool out of me. Or maybe it's not. It's gonna wait till I start talking and then it's gonna play. But anyway, yep, there it is.
All right, well, we're still under a caution. I want
Wasn't
you to go
enough to
back
kick
out of the track and hit the pace car.
Why
Hit
does
the
it
pace
still have
car,
that
hit
as
the
a-
pace car. What for? Because you hit every other goddamn thing out there. I want you to be perfect. Go on, go, go, go.
Wasn't enough to kick Kat. But I thought the mechanic would have kicked her. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's a progressive. It takes more and more to kick the stream boss every time they're kicked now. The stream boss now is harder to kick every time it's been kicked. So, right now it's at 3,720 health, or it had a 3,720 health, and it was at 700. It now is at 763. So every time that it's kicked, it will increase in health. So it gets harder and harder to kick the stream boss as the time will go on. So hopefully I get to be able to carry that over. Ooh, excuse me. When I switch to OBS, because I kind of like that. But anyway, like I was saying, so this is gloss black with Mr. Colors matte clear. This is gloss black with Tester's dull coat. So it's not really focusing on that very much. And then this is Rust-Oleum's Satin black, which I think is too shiny. But that's what the truck is going to go, is one of those. And I think I'm going to do it this one, which is the Mr. Colors Satin. Like I said, it's not focusing, but I had to strip the paint off of it. The black that I had sprayed on it the first time was way too thick and literally just hid all of the details in the body, and I didn't like it. Not the big truck, the little Chip Foose FD100 model that I'm doing. Well, and the thing is I don't know how to get it to focus not on me. Maybe if I put a big piece of foam. No, not that one. That one's got a bunch of stuff on it. Do I have anything that's a solid color? Here's a big white square. Alright, so this is the, let's see, is that going to work? Well, it's still, I don't, maybe. I don't know how to get it to catch the light. Anyway, that's the Rust-Oleum Satin This is the color I think I'm going to go with, which is a little bit of a duller. I want to say this looks closest to a hot rod black. And then this was the tester's dull coat, which I think this one, it doesn't have, it's a little shinier. It's still not wanting to focus. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm gonna go with it's gonna be more. It's supposed to look like a hot rod flat black, and then anything that was chrome is going to be gloss black. I don't know. I think this is not the one that I was. I think Jess has the one that I was using as the main camera, which was the C922. This is the C920. This was the backup camera that I had over there. Technically, they're both hers, so really can't complain if she snags it. Though I was also using one of my cell phones at one point as a camera, which is I think what I was using last week, or not last week, the last stream. But that's, I think that one's out in the living room right now because I took them out to the garage because I was going to film the Kia stuff, but then I realized I didn't have time to film and get the job done in time to go pick up my kid. Hi, kitty cat. But yeah, I would have to say that I think this camera doesn't pick up light as well. It kind of washes stuff out. Yeah, this one doesn't adjust as quick. The C922 is definitely the better out of the two, though they're both pretty decent. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's getting almost time to freaking pick a winner. So, did anybody check to see who, what is the points for the year so far? Yeah, I think Kat just ran away with this one. I don't count. So I don't know who's actually 11th, but they're actually 10th. Oh, wait a minute. On my screen, I was first. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody catching Kat. Not unless I start deducting her points. Give her demerits. She has definitely been an all-star this year. I mean, I think she's been in almost all the streams. A few that she hasn't been in. And not to mention she's been there for a few things that, you know, we've been through some crap this year. I'm not going to do that. I was only teasing. You can tell I'm broke. I don't have any beer. Huh? I didn't ask. I'm not going to ask you to buy me beer when I'm broke. That's just not right. We got other things we need to spend money on than beer. That's right, Kat. Oh, I am one of those people that I will be there for anybody that needs it, and I can count on a few friends that are that way for me, so. That's the way it should be, too. If you can't count on your friends, then they're not very good friends. Where'd the Pikachu hat go? Oh, you took it with you? Were you wearing it the other day? I thought you were just gonna keep it over here on the desk. I didn't know you were actually gonna wear it. But even making your own homebrew still takes quite a bit of cash to get it started. So I don't know if I want to put forth the effort to make my own alcohol. Other than letting apple cider ferment in the back of the fridge for a little while. Not necessarily against that. Though I don't think Jess likes it too much when I do that. Oh, I remember what they make it in prison. I'm not that talented. I'm not that talented to end up in prison, let alone freaking make him brew in prison. I did know I wanted to bring up something. So, I'm not sure if anybody saw that in the infrastructure bill that was passed a little bit ago. We brought this up the last time we were in the chat, but they actually passed the bill now. Biden is having some sort of system put in all cars in the next 5 years that monitor whether or not you're impaired behind the wheel and automatically kill the car if it feels that you are unable to drive. Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want anything in my car that's going to sit there freaking basically just monitor me and be able to shut my car off without any input or say from me. I mean, it sounds like a great idea at first. Sure, it'll keep drunk drivers from being able to drive cars, but what about if you're like, I don't know, just got done working a 16, 20-hour shift at work, just want to get home and go to sleep, and maybe you're a little drowsy? Or, you're on the highway and yeah, get a little drowsy, whatever, and then it just decides to shut your car off in the middle of the highway. Yeah, no, exactly. I have never bought a new car. I don't think I've ever had the privilege. I don't think I will ever have the privilege of being able to drive a new car off a lot. And I guarantee you, if it's not within the next 5 years, it will never happen, because I don't think I will buy a car with that technology in it. No. I think it's dangerous. I especially since they're trying to push it within the next 5 years. I don't believe that's enough time to do research and development enough to be able to pull that off safely. That also means that either A, not only would it be a kill switch, but for them to be able to do it safely, it would have to be able to pull you off to the side of the road as well. I don't want a car that can automatically take control over the steering wheel of me and go wherever the fuck it wants to. Yeah, I have driven new cars. Some for work and other things. I also don't like we had a was it a Honda Odyssey, I think, at my old job. I absolutely hated driving that thing. The steering response, the throttle response, they were both kind of like laggy. Like it took a second of your input before it actually would do something. Not to mention, like, the gear selector was a push button. There was no actual, like, putting it in gear. You pushed a button and it would put it in gear. I didn't like it. You just feel like you have no control over the car whatsoever. You suggest to the car what do you want it to do, and then it decides whether or not it wants to do it. I didn't like that feeling. I didn't. But I don't know. I'm kind of glad maybe that I haven't had any new cars. Even like I said, even though I've driven a few of them, I don't care for them. I have liked some of the way new cars look. Like, they like the Mustangs, the Challengers, the Camaros, the Corvettes. I mean, obviously, but there's even some of the trucks that I like. But again, if they drive anything like that Odyssey, I don't know if I'd like that. I mean, that have no direct link between what you're doing and the thing that you're trying to act upon. It's kind of scary. Especially if what they're doing with these new cars, where it's going to be able to take control from you. If it feels like you know, what if it decides as a computer? It's not even like a human that's deciding. You know, it's not like it sends, it monitors. Oh, this person may possibly be impaired, and then somebody else like pops in and checks to make sure you're not impaired, and then if you are impaired, shuts you down. No, it's a computer that's deciding whether or not you're impaired. And we already know, like, I mean, geez, YouTube itself is a really good example of this, of computer algorithms just not understanding what's going on. Yeah, it's an '01. That's the newest thing I've ever. No, I lie. '03 is the newest thing that I've owned. It was the Cavalier. Or was that an '02? It was an '02. No. No, it was an '03. 2003 Cavalier. Thing's last Cavalier before they went to the cruises. But yeah, no, even those, I guess it would be kind of new, but it's still pretty. You know, there's not really any new technology in the Ram. It's still basic. It's just a fuel injected. It's not even. It's not even. It's a throttle body fuel injected V8. So it's not even like a. It's not even like, you know, direct port. It's throttle body injected. No, no, no. That's direct port. It is direct port. Never mind. I lie. It is direct port throttle body. I have not driven anything that new. I think the newest thing that I've driven is these Kias. As far as, no, 2019. The Odyssey was a 2019, but that was for work. I think the newest we've personally owned is the green Kia, which is a 2012. 98 Expeditions. Yeah, I think that's the size. I think that's the style that my stepfather has and my mom. Is that's that generation Explorers, not Expedition though. First car I ever drove was actually a '77 Nova, but not mine. My tech school had one, and I used to drive it in and out of the garage at the tech school. That was the first car that I ever drove. Funny thing is, it's the second car I ever owned as well, because I bought my '77 right after buying my Escort, or right after wrecking my Escort, and dailied that '77 for the 2 years before we bought the '89 Cherokee, which broke down almost immediately after buying it. Had to fix that. The Nova still outlived the Cherokee. Oh. Yeah, I think the newest thing that I've driven was the 2019 Honda Odyssey. 68 F250. Couldn't push the gas, so he had to put his foot over from the... Well, that's not technically driving. What's the first car that you pushed the pedal and steered on? First car properly drove, '01 Saturn SC. Gotta love the old Saturns. So the first car you actually drove yourself was your Bronco. Okay. Oh, that's right. I am so sorry, Jesse. I forgot. So no, yeah, then I guess I would suggest, considering that the F250 was not adapted for you to be able to use, that yeah, technically that would be driving. ATV does count as driving a vehicle. So if you drove dirt bikes or anything when you were younger, that technically is a vehicle. Yeah, before GM bought them out. Expedition, you mean? I don't know. I still think it's pretty cool, especially the stuff that you were able to do with was it your brother's wheelchair? Um, I think freaking fabbing stuff and creating stuff that didn't exist before is freaking cool. Um, that's cool. I still like your Bronco though. I like that baby blue. It's a cool rig. By the way, it's nice to see that somebody's a stream boss besides me. So wasn't sure if anybody was going to kick me off before the end of the year. Yes, definitely, Cat. It is a sweet rig. Though I'm also kind of partial to Joseph's Cadillac. But then again, I'm a Cadillac guy. I like the old school caddies. Oh, like the rock bouncers, or because those things are cool. The bouncer buggies. I watch a lot of Busted Knuckle Garage or Busted Knuckle Films, I think is what it actually is. Um, I love watching the bouncers go up the hill. Yeah, that is a well. The stream boss only has 700 health points left. I guarantee you, whoever kicks you off probably will not get kicked off before the end of the year. And then it'll reset. So, beginning January 1st, the whole stream resets. So, we'll see. Smaller than the bouncers. Okay. Have you seen those ATV rock crawlers? What are they? The side-by-sides? They make side-by-side crawlers, too. It's freaking... Those are pretty trippy. Okay, but that's about the size of the bouncers that they use, too. The bouncers, there's some that aren't much bigger than a Jeep. I mean, yeah, some of them are pretty long, but they got some some shorter wheelbase ones as well. I'm not sure if you watch Busted Knuckle or not. That's a fucking great channel, though, if you like that stuff. Okay, yeah, I love watching that channel. They even have the freaking not Barbie Jeep, but the little Power Wheels downhill races. Those are freaking fun. Oh, you're gonna do a freaking Jimmy? I just got been playing Horizon 5 on my PC, and I just picked up what would have been like the K5 Blazer, but the GMC Jimmy version of that. I have it all built out like a freaking like a mud truck or rock crawler. Yeah. Yeah, I like the old K5. Well, K5 Blazer / Jimmy. I love those trucks from the early, was it late 70s all the way up to the mid 90s, I think they ran that truck. So, yeah, that's one of my favorites. 87. Yeah, my stepfather had an 85 K5 Blazer. Oh, it's the S10 one. The S50. That's the smaller ones, isn't it? The S15, isn't that the smaller ones? I like the big full-bodied ones. Yeah, I like. They're not bad. You can't go wrong with an S10. In fact, the seats in my Nova are out of an S10 four-door Blazer. I think it was a 92. Yeah, pretty sure it was a 92 four-door Blazer. But the front seats in my Nova are out of. Well, there you go. What size carb did you go with? I forget what engine's in your truck. Yeah, are you talking about the truck or the Bronco? 300 i6. So then you're talking about the. Okay, the truck, the old Ford. It's okay. I gotta pick up a couple parts before I can do anything with the Trans Am to complete the Holley EFI setup. I just think that, I mean, I like carburetors, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're gonna have it out and use it a lot, I think an EFI setup is, especially these self-learning ones, are the better way to go. As long as you're not, like I said, if you're trying to build a show car or something like that, I could see keeping the carburetor. It costs a lot more up front. I think that, with the power that it adds and the reliability and the fuel economy, it kind of pays for itself if you use it a lot. I'll let you know. I mean, yeah, it will, depends on how far you want to go. Like, I also think that just doing the throttle body, I think you need to do the timing as well. So the distributor, just so that way, because the thing is if you only have the throttle body, it can only control air fuel mixture. Whereas if you do the distributor as well, it can also control the timing. So that's your closest way to go to a modern fuel injected engine as you can get. Yeah, so then yeah, the carburetor makes more sense then. There's nothing wrong with a carb. You can put a hell of a lot of, obviously. I mean, they've been around for how long? Um, I just think that if yeah, my Dodge truck has 411 gears in it. What I'm actually amazed that thing actually gets pretty decent gas mileage for being a truck. Well, and that's the difference between carbureted and fuel ejection is the carburetor will not make adjustments for elevation change, obviously air density, air temperature. It doesn't make those adjustments. It doesn't. You basically set it for a single RPM and then that's it. That's the way carburetors are. You set them for the general RPM that you will be running at, and it will run its optimum at that RPM. Everything else is just it's a compromise. Whereas fuel injection is optimized for all RPMs and air conditions. Yeah, I don't think oh no, actually no, that's right. The Dodge does have an overdrive. The Dodge is a 3-speed with an overdrive. Well, yes. The carburetor is going to stay at whatever you set it at, and that's it. Oh, hello. I didn't hear you pop in.
Oh, no problem.
We're over here having a discussion about carburetors and EFIs now.
Nice. I'd be happy
Um,
to partake in that.
But yeah, I mean, yes, you can trust a carburetor a hell of a lot more. It doesn't have a computer in it. It's analog. It's going to sit there and run at whatever you set it at, unless something fails. But it's like I said, that's also its downfall. It runs at whatever you set it at, so it can't run any better or any worse, and so it's what you would call like a dumb system. It doesn't think. It just I pick things up, I put them down. That's what it does.
Right.
Whereas a computer controlled EFI, it runs optimally at whatever conditions it's currently running.
More
Especially
stuff
if
to
it can
break.
control not only the air fuel but the timing as well.
Yeah.
Were you
Which
say
most of them do.
Huh?
No, nothing. Just depends on the era. I mean, the 4.6 I was going to install I mean, I was talking with Kat about maybe trading my LTD for her Grand Marquis. I don't know if you know anything about it, but anyway, dropping a modern 4.6 in it. They have two separate computers for fuel injection and spark, and so and I like that probably more because if something goes wrong, you can replace a spark computer, whereas I mean, you'd have to replace the whole PCM or ECM.
But the thing
And
is if you're not controlling, if the computer cannot control both the spark and the air fuel mixture, in other words, they don't work together, then what happens is it's not going to be running as optimally as it could.
Right.
That's kind of like if you have two separate people, one person controlling the steering and the other person controlling the throttle and brake.
Right.
Can you imagine driving a car? You're in one seat, you can only steer.
Yeah.
And then the person in the other seat can only brake. And that person that's braking is blindfolded.
Although imagine if you had a wire going from one person's brain to the other person's brain, giving each other signals.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. You have one person doing the steering. They can see. They can talk to the person in the passenger seat, but that passenger seat person is blindfolded.
Yeah.
But controls the gas and the brake.
Yeah. I guess.
Do you see how
right.
that would be less efficient?
I get it. I mean, there's degrees to it. And everybody knows 4.6s of those Fords run like garbage. Those are just terrible engines. Everybody knows that. That's why I know cops hated them. Taxi services hated them. Crown Vics suck. Everybody knows that. Right?
Yeah,
or am I wrong?
Is simple. Actually, carburetors are pretty complicated, but simple to tune. Throttle bodies are actually not very complicated. There's the only moving part is the throttle body. I mean, it's the throttle.
TBI is that happy medium.
But you have the computer involved, which then requires sensors to that way it has like, so a carburetor is like a blindfolded person that you move in one position and that's where they stay. Okay, so you set that person like this. That's what they're gonna do. Okay, that's a carburetor. You can move the carburetor around, but it's in this position. But it can see what it's doing, so it can react. Whereas a throttle body, it needs sensors to be able to see, but it can react a lot better than the carburetor can. Okay. So, I mean, they both have their perks and their drawbacks. They do.
Right.
Yes, it adjusts on vacuum, but let's say you've got a decent cam on your you got a car with some decent cam in it. A cammed engine doesn't have a whole lot of vacuum.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what. Okay, so if you've ever run a car with any decent amount of cam in it, it does not pull as much vacuum as a mild cam does. In fact, you actually have to put a vacuum assist on a cammed car to run the brake booster. Because it doesn't pull enough vacuum to make the brake booster work.
I've never thought about that. If anything, I would have thought it would pull more of a vacuum.
Because your intake and your exhaust valves are more overlapped.
Okay, I guess that's true. It depends on the cam. So I was just thinking, if you have a lot more lift on the intake, my logic was if you have lift on the intake, it's going to suck in more air more quickly. Whereas
Spark, you can put electric advance on them to make them. It's actually better dizzy than the Hollies for my car. Well, the Holly that I'm running is not their standard Holly. Holly is actually MSD. Holly bought out MSD, so like the distributors that they're running are actually MSD distributors. It's their technology. But the distributor that I bought, which is the Hyperspark, it's specifically designed to run with the Holly snipers and dominators. The electronic dominators. I think that's what they're called. They're called Dominator, I think. But basically, it's specifically designed for their EFI systems to control the spark timing. So it will advance it and retard it on the fly as needed, depending on what the computer calls for. So it doesn't run on a vacuum.
I think it's the OptiSpark module in my car. Those things always shit the bed. I mean,
is that the same thing that they used to run on the Corvettes?
Different for Ford and Chevy, obviously, but
oh, that's right. Yeah, you have Ford.
No, you're thinking of what's that
thing that they put on the front of the Corvettes?
Oh my god, I forget the damn name of that thing.
I always forget the name of it. I know what it looks like. It sits right behind the water pump on the freaking front of the engine, and then when it fucking goes, you got to take the whole front of the engine apart.
Yeah. What year? What year? Generation?
That was early 90s.
So like 1991, right?
Yeah.
Let's say.
Hey, Kat, I have no dog in that fight. I have no idea what the DuraSpark 2 is capable of.
It is OptiSpark. It is OptiSpark. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, okay. I thought it had some weird name, but no, I guess it is OptiSpark.
Yeah, the Corvette people hated them.
Yeah, well,
because they would always fail. And like I said, when they failed, you had to take your whole front end of your engine apart. And if you've ever tried to take the front end of an engine apart on a Corvette, you got to take half the freaking car apart.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I haven't. I haven't.
Because the radiator leans over on the front of the engine.
Yeah.
So to get to anywhere on the front of the engine, you got to take the radiator out of it.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a sports car and you're trying to fit a lot of stuff in a small package.
I guess so.
Some shit gets displaced.
Yeah.
Don't take that the wrong way. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I won't. I wonder. So I guess, I mean, Chrysler had a really terrible electronic endeavors in the past. So did Ford, and so did Chevy. So I guess there isn't really anything.
Well, everything has a growing pains and a learning curve, especially when they adopt a new technology or try to come out with something new. Oh. And that's kind of what that OptiSpark was. It was something, hey, let's try something new. And it had its issues. I mean, think about Chevy's first foray in the fuel injection. That was also on the Corvettes way back when.
I remember spider injection. I remember I almost bought a Blazer. I think it was a 4.3 liter that had that spider injection. Or was it a 3? No, they didn't put a 350 in those Blazers. Yeah, they had spider injection. What did they have spider injection on the 4.3 liter Blazers? in like
They
1997.
had throttle body injection in the later Blazers in like the late 80s.
Well, I'm thinking like almost later 90s. Like
Oh yeah, fuel injection.
no,
They've been running fuel injection since the mid 80s.
yeah, I'm just wondering, like the spider fuel injection.
You mean like direct port?
I believe so. I don't know much about the spider injection.
Direct port is you had throttle body injection,
yeah,
and then you have
it would be direct port injection. It's port injection, and it's spider injection, and things looked like a spider. If you have to take, I feel like it wasn't the intake mat. Oh, it sat under the intake manifold, and it was plastic. I think it was some form of plastic, and the spider injection, they would always fail. And you had to, it was port. I know it was.
Because they have actually two separate. So they have the ones that are in the throttle body. That would have been your mid 80s. Your mid 80s like S10 Blazers, stuff like that had those. Then you had the ones where it went directly into the intake runners, but not down by the cylinder, not by the heads. So they would have been like in the middle of the intake runners. And then you have the ones that are basically in the head pointing to the back of the intake valve. Right. So there's like 3 different styles that you have.
Right. Well, the one I'm thinking of, I was right, it was the 4.3 liter. They had them in the mid to late. I don't know. I don't think they had them in the early 2000s, but mid to late 90s. I think maybe even early 90s. I'm not sure when it came out, but it looked like a spider. It was like a fuel distribution block that had spiders coming off that would go to the ports. It was such a
instead
weird
of a rail system, which is what most cars
instead of a rail system. Exactly. Yeah, and it was a weird thing that they used, and they always failed, and that's why people hate spider injection. But
just replace the line.
Yeah, and apparently they're no. But
that's basically what
honestly
they do with port nitrous now.
Oh yeah, port
direct port nitrous.
I guess so. But are they metal or are they plastic lines though? Because I mean, yeah, exactly. Because crack plastic. The thing is, Chevy made them plastic.
Yeah, and then after heat and
exactly.
And all of that destroys the plastic, makes it hard and brittle, and then it cracks and.
Exactly.
I hate it like, when they run vacuum lines with mostly plastic. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, and Chevy Cruze, I don't know why it comes to mind. Like the ones they had the plastic valve covers in and of themselves are stupid. But when you have everything integrated into it, like PCV systems, and I know why it comes in. My favorite YouTuber has done a lot with Chevy Cruze.
That is the biggest nightmare with working on anything from the late 80s into the 90s is dealing with all of the plastic vacuum lines and everything else that is in those cars, because you touch anything and you're going to break like 4 of them in a shot.
Yep, and there's nothing. Yeah, and a lot of times, like I don't feel like, because obviously parts store's not going to have that. I don't feel like waiting a week on Rock Auto just to put a new plastic.
Anything that has those lines specifically for your car, I can tell you half the time I ended up replacing mine with rubber lines.
Well, yeah,
that run everywhere.
It's not bad. It's even like the fittings, like that the nipple that the line would go onto. Don't mean to be too explicit there,
but at least those are easier to find than the actual like pre-bent fucking plastic tubes that they had running all over the place.
I wouldn't go back with plastic. That would just no. Right. My LTD, I guess. I mean, I thought that was bad. I mean, I know it's got a vacuum leak somewhere. There's no way it doesn't. But either way, it like just the amount of vacuum lines. I had to remember it in my head. And if I had sold that car without putting all those vacuum lines back together, no one would have any freaking clue where anything goes. So I had to remember it by look and like, okay, this weird line that curves goes back here, and it was all rubber at least. But
that's just you get a vacuum diagram.
Well, I do have a vacuum diagram, but I can't follow that thing.
Oh, it's no different.
It's
not different than trying to follow a freaking wiring diagram, because at least the vacuum diagrams, they look somewhat like the way that it's laid out in the car. The vacuum wiring diagrams, they're just they look nothing like the actual wiring harnesses themselves.
You're right. That's true. I mean, the thing that LTD, I mean, the variable Venturi carburetor, the Motorcraft ones, the weird ones that would always catch on fire, that was deleted. So there's a whole vacuum thing. There were screws in vacuum lines. So that vacuum diagram was almost obsolete because I could follow major things like vacuum advance. I could follow that, but all the stuff that went from this over here to the screw,
But the thing is that screw still needs to go to a vacuum source. You got to find out what that vacuum source would have been on the other carburetor to find out where you need to plug it in on the vacuum. Unless those went to like the vacuum fuel canister, which most everybody deleted those anyway. I can tell you the one on my Nova isn't hooked up to anything. Don't tell the EPA that, but yeah, there's nothing connected to the vacuum canister in my Nova. It's just there. It's there because I needed it there to pass inspection to keep the car on the road. But the vacuum lines don't go anywhere.
When you say vacuum canister, do you mean vacuum canister or fuel? Charcoal, okay, right.
The fuel vapor canister.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Some cars also had an actual like bubble thing that helped keep vacuum when the engine wasn't making vacuum.
A vacuum reservoir, and actually, the thing is, the coffee can era. Mine's got a big coffee can sitting on the fender. That's how it goes.
Is that the fuel vapor canister, or is that a?
No, it's a vacuum reservoir just to keep vacuum. But it's that every Fords were really known for that. My Cadillac has one too, but at least it's hidden and it's really tall. And I just figured out the other day, actually, before I forget, my Cadillac Eldorado has air shocks, and I didn't think that came out until 74 or 75.
Have you seen the oh, there's Cat is in the background. Hi, Cat. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on here because I was actually on here longer than I wanted to be now, but it's okay.
I mean, and like you notice, because I'm not on the tripod, so I've got this worse angle now.
We're just going to inspect all the stuff you have on the top of your freezer. That's all.
Yeah, you won't be able to really decipher what's up there, anyways.
I might be able to. I have a nice big TV a big screen that I'm looking at. I don't have to look at it inside of my, where I've like. In the live stream, it's already shrunk down because I make it smaller to fit in the little window. But I also have the actual original window, which is quite big on my screen.
Do not fall over. Ah, damn it.
So, like, if I were to bring this over here.
See, that's the problem with me doing it like this.
I have this big window over here that I can see you in. And then there, of course, there's the stream as well.
There you go. We'll see, I could just do it like that.
Mine is just my whole laptop screen, which is, 13 inches.
There you go. So and you can see part of my turbo.
Nice.
Just there for a second.
Yeah. You just
part of the turbo.
That is a good question. I don't
actually
know
like
turbos that well.
It looks like a well, I guess it does look like a piece of a turbo, but
yeah, well, it is.
Oh, that's the wastegate.
Wastegate, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually. That's what controls the wastegate, because the wastegate's actually internal to the carburetor.
Okay. Well, it's
I don't know anything.
If you were to look on a modern turbo, it's all one piece.
Yeah, this is a IHI AS12, which they used on like Jetta diesels and stuff like that, like TDIs. Also like Perkins diesels as well, and some small Caterpillar diesels like 2 and 3 liters use these as well. But yeah, just always using a diesel. That's why when I do this, you get all the set.
Well, I don't know. Your exhaust pipe on your Fox body must be looking like that too, right about now, with all the fuel that it was dumping in it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't doing that for long though. Like, and bear in mind, it didn't run that way.
Which one is the one that? It was the other one that died, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that one was the one that was burning oil along with the.
Yep.
Yeah. So that one also probably looked like that in the tailpipe.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, that one backfired too. So this one doesn't.
So it was part supercar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great. Like
it had all the crackle and pops, just not in all the good ways.
Yeah. Oh, well, honestly, like I loved the way that like it sounded, but I knew it was terrible. because like every time you revved it up, it would just backfire a little bit. You know, kind of like a tuned car, but it's not tuned. All it was,
It
literally,
was just dumping
the
way
only
too much fuel into
modification.
the exhaust, and so it was
Exactly.
burning it in the exhaust instead of.
But it sounded bitchin' because like this thing had, I'm not sure what muffler was on it. It was some kind of aftermarket muffler. I'm assuming it was a Flowmaster or something like that, and a hollowed out cat, and that's it.
It was
And
after, but okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, it
Sorry.
was not a stock muffler, no.
Okay.
And that thing with a 3.8 V6 sounded like a 302. It was amazing. Like and especially when it was cold. I have a video of it. Is that on YouTube? No, that's not on YouTube. That might be on my Instagram of that thing. And in the drive-through when it was cold, and like I had just started up, it had been running for like 2 minutes at that point, and the thing sounds like a cammed big block. That's hilarious.
Wait, that was the white one. I thought that was on the drive-through. I remember seeing a drive-through one with Stitch. I remember that.
There has been some drive-through ones with Stitch, yes, but
because like joy of
this
owning a classic car.
I was gonna say this was, I think, before that video was probably before you knew me.
I have to shut off my truck, my Trans Am, and my Nova when I go through the drive-throughs.
Why?
I have to shut them off.
Why?
Because they can't hear me.
Yeah, they're too loud. Which now Stitch gets to that point, not quite there yet. With only thrust turbos, but that's it, and it's not dumped out of the back of the car yet. It's still before the axles at the moment. So, and it's not dumped out the sides either.
One of my favorite things to do in my Nova when I was daily driving that, we have a really big mall close to where I used to live, King of Prussia Mall. It's huge. You know, nice richy area, you know, high end, you know, whatever area. And so it has those big covered parking garages attached to the mall. I used to run through, and as soon as you entered into the parking garage, if you burped the throttle, about 20 to 30 car alarms would go off at once.
Nice.
Just burping the throttle. I mean, not even like revving it, just rum. And it would set off all of the BMWs and Audis and everything that were sitting in that parking lot. It was absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, that is great.
Boop, 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 as they would all freaking start going off. And then of course, you know, you'd roll up to the next level, do it again, and that whole floor would go off. But yeah, you didn't even have to I didn't have to be really aggressive with it. It was just, you know, burping the throttle to go up the next ramp, and off they would go.
Yeah, see, I would have to rev my car at a decent amount for it to do that. But mind you, I only have thrust turbos. It's not like I have a Super 10 or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's like my Dodge truck. It's wide into a single pipe, into the catalytic converter, into a Flowmaster 44, and then directly at the passenger side. I was rolling through Wilkes-Barre, coming home from work the one day, and as I was going up the one hill to the traffic light, you know, I had to get on it a little bit to get up the hill, and it set the car alarm off that was next to me. So that's not even in a parking garage. It's literally just on the side of the road. Burp the throttle to go up the freaking hill, set the car alarm off.
Turbos do quiet down an exhaust, yes.
Oh, yes, they do.
And then there's superchargers that don't. they just make things louder.
Well, because the supercharger, that's because the exhaust doesn't have to go through the supercharger.
Oh, yeah, I know how that works.
It's, you know, it quiets down the exhaust because it's going. It's the impeller on the turbo is technically technically a muffler. It works the same as what a muffler does.
Well, I don't turbo anything. There's no replacement for displacement, baby.
Yeah, that's called forced induction or nitrous.
Tell that to the little imports that are whooping freaking 800 horsepower.
I am joking, and you have to know that by now.
Oh yeah, like, well, the funny part is, because like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna put this turbo on it, or if I do a supercharge, or if I do a different turbo entirely, on my car. It is gonna get some sort of forced induction because I want it to smoke stock 5-liter cars, and it will, definitely. But like, it'll only be making probably around 260 to 280-ish horsepower when I'm done with it, for it to still be reliable without dumping into the internals.
Right.
Because then it gets really expensive. And yeah, like, because my car, it's interesting. It can either hold 10 pounds of boost or 300 horsepower, whichever comes first with stock internal.
I would still, at least before you throw on that
Thank you.
turbo, I would at least pull the oil pan and check your main and rod caps.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. We're gonna go through the motor before we do that. Like,
Are you
it'll
talking
probably
about
be.
I'm not saying you need to upgrade pistons and rods and shit, but I would at least make sure your bearings are okay, because they're gonna get beat to shit if they're not.
Are you talking about your inline six?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I actually like that.
Well,
Well,
those inline
did you?
sixes can make quite a bit of power.
I didn't
Wait,
know that.
the highest performance one I've seen, at least this was naturally aspirated. It was a 250 inline six, so same family as mine, but it had a 144 head on it, fully done internals and everything. And naturally aspirated, it made 389 horsepower to the wheels.
What was its torque though? Because they make more torque than horsepower.
The torque was 460.
Yeah, as I said, they make a lot more torque than they make horsepower. But
Yeah,
that's what those
and
things are. They're a torque monster.
Well, and that car, because with a 144 head on it and everything else he did too to up the compression, plus a thinner head gasket too, he was at 14 and a half to 1 compression. So he had to run it on 110 gas just to make it run.
Well, I mean,
Because
have you ever seen
otherwise it would just
like
ping.
a tug of war between like a Jeep Cherokee and like any pickup truck out there? Even though the Jeep Cherokees are smaller, they'll outpull a truck.
Well, they can, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the i6 makes more torque at a lower RPM than any V8.
Oh, yeah. Like, and that's what's nice about my car that way. Like now, right now, it's not running right at all. And also, the fix that me and Roy did on it is weird. It works, but it's weird. Only because
That's the one where you have the fuel filter hanging over top of the
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the fuel filter. What
Dad.
we did was, yeah, that's my dad in the background.
I know he can't hear us though.
No, he can't hear you. So, but yeah, exactly. He's gonna be watching Roadkill, so you might hear Roadkill in the background. Sorry.
At least he's watching a good show.
Yeah, well, it's Roadkill Garage technically, but
Is it the YouTube version or the TV show?
Well, they do the same thing, TV or not, actually.
Well, no, because there's some YouTube episodes that are not the TV.
There are some, yes, but this one I believe is on YouTube. So, but anyways, shit, what was I talking about?
ADHD.
Forgot. What was
That
that?
train has left the building.
Left the building.
Oh yeah.
Left the
Oh,
station.
so yeah, that's what it was. Sorry. So what we did was, because 50 jets at my elevation was overfueling the car, and then I ordered way too small of 40 jets.
Right.
Like they're very tiny actually. So what we did was, it's just like, okay, what if we combine the two? And normally this wouldn't work, but it does in my application
and a
because
150 in it.
Yeah, yep, that's what we did, and it works only because it's going through the same hole.
Right.
It's not a 2-barrel intake.
Yeah, it's not,
so
well, even a 2-barrel intake, the thing is even a 2-barrel intake, as long as it was a single plane intake, it would still work ish.
Yeah.
If it was a dual plane intake like what's on my TA, it would not work, because literally one half of the carburetor goes to one side of the engine and the other half of the carburetor goes to the other side of the engine.
Oh yeah. And that's why, like, when I was talking to him, because like I asked him, just like, so, like, dumb question, what if we did one of each? And at first he said that wouldn't work, and then he thought about it. It's like, wait, no, actually that would work. So
you're still gonna
and
get
we did it.
45 jets in it, or?
Oh yeah, well, actually what we're gonna do, he has a 2100 base that'll hold Holly jets. So he's just gonna clean that up. We're gonna put all of my internals and my top on that, and then just do Holly jets, because they're so much easier to find and much cheaper.
Yeah. Now, is that
Motorcraft
Blue
jets?
Cat?
No, it's not.
It's not Ford blue.
Nope, not even
Ah.
close. It's too
How
dark.
are you not wearing Ford competition blue?
Because if they did make nail polish, I'd be $100 fucking bottle of nail polish. I swear.
No, you'd be able to find it on the side of the road.
Come on. Low blow.
Cheap
Hey, I'll
with
have
some
you
guy
know,
kicking
my
the
car's.
tire on it, saying with a for sale sign in the back window.
I'll have you know that's modern Fords, not old ones.
Huh?
Yeah, there you go. Good point.
That's
modern
modern
Fords. Is
Fords,
that what
not.
you said?
Yeah, that's modern
Yeah.
Fords, not
That's
old
been a
Fords.
Ford issue for as long as I can remember.
Depending on the
And
Ford.
You have short-term memory loss or long-term memory loss? Yeah, long-term.
Like, because the thing is, okay, yes, don't get me wrong. Depending on the Ford, like, yeah, Ford has made some terrible engines. I'm not gonna lie.
I think that goes for just about
But-
every manufacturer out there.
Yeah, although I will say Ford has probably had the most misses when it comes to modern engines as opposed to Chevrolet or Chrysler. I think.
disagree with that. I mean, I don't know. I guess you'd have to. I can't say for sure. I feel like Chevy has made some garbage.
Jesse says that I'll lose because you guys mostly like Fords, but the problem is try picking on my TA. Try picking on my Nova.
I'm not gonna pick on anything old. I'm gonna pick on nothing past 20.
Very few issues you could find out with either of those cars.
Other than trying to replace a heater core in one of those.
No, it's not that hard.
Well,
Is your
you have to
81
remove the fender to remove the heater core. Is pretty stupid.
No, I just have to drop the inner fender out of the way. I know how to
Honestly,
get them
I
out
would
without
say
having to take the fender off.
A
It's just
fender is
easier
better
to
than
take
a
the
dash.
fender off.
Fender's
Yeah.
better than a dash. That AMC I was gonna go look at needs a new heater core too, and I don't know how to do it in one of those. I don't know if you have to take the dash off or not. But
Yeah, and the only way to tell is you'd have to drop the glove box to figure it out.
yeah, well, that's what I would do. I just
You
have
gotta
to
drop
figure
the
it out
glove
as I
box
go.
and just about
Good luck
anything you gotta
finding-
change the heater core in.
Well, I mean, no,
My mom's
actually,
growing.
the later Mustangs you don't have to. Like the later Fox bodies,
Yeah.
that you just have to. You just drop the entire dash. You don't have to remove.
Yeah, well, because dropping the entire dash is much better than just dropping the freaking glove box.
Better?
Well,
No.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
okay,
what you
my
just
mom's
told me.
van.
You said, "Oh, you just have to remove the entire dash."
Well, no, that's not what I meant.
That's what I'm saying. It's like like my Ram. I have to pull the whole dash out of that thing to get to the heater core. At least the only thing I have to do is pull the inner fender on the Nova and the Trans Am, and pull the glove box out of the freaking dashboard to get to the one in the Trans Am and the Nova.
Well, see, my Mustang, it is 10 bolts. That's out.
Well, yeah, it's like, all right. So there's a couple bolts around the metal wheel well, so that way you can get to the, and that's only so you can get to the so you can get to the blower motor and the fuel bolts that are on the firewall side of the heater box. You got to drop the cardboard glove box, because like the front of it's metal, but the back half of it's just cut cardboard. It's like I don't know, like cardstock or whatever. They're not whatever. So you got to pull that out of the way. And then there's like a couple bolts on the inside, and that whole inside of the heater core comes off. Move that out of the way, and then the heater core is right there. With the Dodge, I have to remove the whole dashboard, which is a hell of a lot bigger than the ones that are in my Nova and TA. And I have to pull that all the way up onto the seat to expose.
But that's anything modern. That is anything modern.
It takes 10 minutes to do it in my mom's van. 10 minutes.
You got to pull the whole dash
It
out. Or
doesn't
no?
have a glove. No, doesn't even have a glove box in that spot. It's a Chevy Astro. It's well GMC Spar, same damn thing.
Oh yeah, those are easy.
Now
really easy.
Jesse says that he can find things wrong with my Nova and TA. He says other than rust, but Rust.
Yeah.
Well, but
Well,
that's
I mean,
that's any car from that era that's been exposed, especially up here in the Northeast.
although, well,
Yeah,
you look at any cool GM, and all of them will have, or at least can have, issues with the rear subframe. Every single one, right?
Neither
At
of mine
least
had,
with.
even though my Nova
Oh
was
no.
full of rust, neither of them had issues
Well,
with
I'm
the
not saying
subframe.
yours. I'm not saying yours did, but if we look at the common things, right, for that, like that with my Ford, there are a couple of common areas. The subframes are not common though. Actually, it's very rare to find rust in the
Most of
subframe
the ones you
on a Fox
find
body.
in the X bodies and the F bodies is actually the trunk pan, the rockers, and the floorboards.
and the G bodies with their frame rails underneath the trunk on the Chevys.
Yeah, well, I mean the Nova that I sold, the rear frame rail was screwed.
Yeah,
Because
most of
the
them
trunk
actually
pan
don't have
was
problems in the
screwed.
frame rail itself. Normally, it's the trunk floor, the
Well,
the front floorboards, and the rockers.
well, the
And
thing is,
around the wheel well.
why this one was bad is because the trunk, because first, okay, the trunk lid rusted right in line of where, okay, if water gets into this, it's going to drop right above where that frame rail is, and then it rusted through the floor of the trunk, and then rusted out the frame rail.
Yeah, but
So,
that was a little excessive.
oh, it was, but I mean, honestly, other than that,
But
and
the
the
other thing
one
is
corner on that car was
unless
nice.
a car rusts out within the first 10 or 15 years, I don't consider necessarily rust being a downfall of a car, because any car older than that is going to rust. I have a problem when you see cars that are running down the road that are less than 10 years old and have rust holes big enough that you could shove your head through them.
Mazda.
That's bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's,
if you got a 40-year-old
yeah.
car and it's got rust, I'm sorry, the fact that it's still driving and running around is kind of amazing.
Good point.
Well, I think any vehicle though, because I mean, they did start, like, any vehicle in, I'd say, about 15 years that can have structural rust, and it's a common issue, that's bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I agree.
don't consider rust, other than, like that, with where it's not that old and it's structural rust, I don't consider that a fault of the car itself.
I do.
So I wouldn't consider that being, like, like you said, what we were talking about is the fact that, we were making fun of, like, the Ford's Fix or Repair Daily found on road dead.
Yeah.
Where they constantly were breaking down to get that nickname. You guys, they were talking, Jesse was saying that, that I'll lose for teasing about Fords because, you guys are not Ford fans. And then I said, well, pick on something that the Novas or the Trans Ams had an issue with. I wasn't necessarily saying what my cars have an issue with, but the Novas and the Trans Ams from that era, not era as in, but era, finding, their faults. I mean, yeah, they had some. The Oldsmobile engines in the Trans Ams, they had timing chain problems because they used a plastic gear.
Find issues with the LTD. Find an issue with the 79 LTD before the OptiSpark.
Well,
like mine,
they make
for example.
really good boat anchors.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Attach it to a boat, push it off the boat. Nice. It would take the whole boat down with it.
Okay. So it's about 1,300 pounds lighter than my Cadillac. And okay, let me just find an issue.
Joseph,
tell me something. You have to exclude the rust. You have to exclude the rust. Remember,
I don't think you can find an issue with the Crown Vic. I mean, they were damn freaking near bulletproof.
Yeah, the only issues that they
had they were almost pretty damn near bulletproof, considering they used them from cop cars, and I don't know how many cops got shot through their freaking car, but
like, the thing is, the only issues with any sort of luxury type car at that point, like, you have one of the more base ones, but it did have a couple options in it, is the options themselves.
Yep,
when you started putting
the more to go wrong.
Exactly, like with the electronics back then, they weren't always the most reliable. But What's nice though about older electronics, though, when it comes to like power windows, for
They're easier to
example.
fix.
Well, not only that, but okay, take your Kia for example. When it's really damn cold outside and like the windows, try rolling down the windows all the time. You know, they're always frozen. But my other Mustang, like a convertible, those windows were never frozen ever.
I
They
got
would
a
always
lot
go down.
stronger,
It
bigger
was amazing.
motors.
If
And
you
any
were to
older
squirt
car
a
I
little
found
bit
with
of
fuel or with power windows.
the problem with those is it depends on what lubricant they used in the tracks. That's why they freeze.
Not just
If
that,
you
but the
if you
motors
live
are
up
much
here,
stronger.
we have a trick when it gets cold out, and if you knew that your windows would get stuck when it get cold out, we'd take a little bit of WD-40 and run it on the very edge of the window where it meets the window seal. And it would keep the water from freezing the window to the window seal. And if you also sprayed the tracks running down into the door with WD-40, you didn't have to worry about them freezing either.
Yeah, but it's still an issue though. Like where the old ones don't really have that issue typically.
Well, it's because they had the thing is as you get newer, they cost savings that they try to pull, so they put a weaker window motor.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know why. It's just, but again, it's stupid. Like, and then that's a problem with the modern cars that way, right? Or like, although one of the stupidest things I saw, it's gotten pretty big on TikTok, which is not surprising. It was a Tesla Model S, and they have doors where you unlock it and the door handle comes out.
Yeah.
Well, the door handle was actually frozen into the door, so the guy couldn't get in his car. It's like,
That would be
but the thing is,
like,
I'm not gonna lie. I had problems with my Nova doing that, and that has the old school chrome with the push button. Those can get frozen too.
Well, I'll also say Teslas don't belong in northern or cold climates. Batteries and cold don't mix, and all that just don't belong as a whole.
Not to mention,
So-
we don't have very highly populated, densely freaking lived areas.
Right.
And not to mention, I don't necessarily want to be stuck in a Tesla in some of the snowstorms that we get here. Those batteries only last so long.
Yeah.
What happens when that battery dies and you're stuck in that car? There's no way you're going to keep yourself warm.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I know there's a ton of issues with that. That's why
we've had people stuck on our highways when it snows really bad for over 8 hours. Stuck on the highway.
That happens here too. Trust me. We know.
Bye.
You look at he just wandered
checked out.
Right here.
Oh, there he is. Because like the thing is, because both me and Joseph, we live fairly close to each other. And like the thing is, the number 2 highway, which is like the main highway in Alberta, all the time when it snows and stuff like that, there's always crashes and stuff like that shuts down the highway, and you're stuck there for hours.
Well,
it's not uncommon.
When we first moved to Tamaqua, Jess was working up in Hazleton, which is normally like a 20-25 minute drive. It took her 4 hours to get home the one day. She was stuck, and she was stuck in one section of road for like 3 hours.
Thought it was 4 hours.
No. It took her 4 hours to get home. Because the thing is we're all mountains, and the snow and the ice with the tractor trailers, you're only going 5-10 miles an hour. But that one little section of road that she was stuck on, she was stuck in one spot for 3 hours. So it still would have taken her about 45 minutes to an hour to get home.
You're right.
Even if she didn't get stuck because of how slow the traffic goes, and it's all mountain roads.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But she got stuck in that one spot for 3 hours in the middle of a blizzard.
Right. Oh yeah, that happens all the time up here too. Like,
and speaking of altitude or mountains, actually, the jets you have in your car. So what would happen if you drove up to Calgary? Because Sundre is a lower altitude than
it's
Calgary.
higher.
It's higher.
It's about 50 meters higher altitude. It's not much, but yeah, it's 1,093 here. It's like 1,000
temperature difference.
Well, either way, okay. So if you decided to drive up to Edmonton or to like this closer to the Saskatchewan border, what would
Okay.
happen?
Actually, in Edmonton, if I had the 50 jets in it, it runs like a fuel-injected car. It's amazing. It is perfect.
Wow.
No hesitation on the gas whatsoever. It's a lot more responsive on the throttle, and it's just amazing. But up here, oh yeah, no, it hates it. Like, you hear my car right now, because like, and it still is having a little bit of an issue where, because
Jesse is
you know,
right.
part of it's leaned out, part of it is too rich. So but because of it running too lean in spots, it actually does, if you smack on the throttle, especially when it's a little colder, it just dies no matter what.
Jesse should it should run better on the smaller jets the higher in the elevation.
Yeah, well, they're too small. That's the problem. They're 40 jets. I probably should have bought like a 45 or a 47.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just an error on my
so
part.
you need less fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, and the thing is, I'll probably end up doing a 45 or a 47 to compensate that way, because as well, when I drive to Edmonton, for example, which I'll be frequenting a lot more often in the new year, you know, that would be nicer for that. And driving literally anywhere I drive to, it's lower elevation than where I am now, everywhere. So
that's fine then.
Yeah, well, and I don't. It's funny because I don't really drive a lot here. Like, I drive around town, yes, but actually putting on a lot of miles here in town, no. It's everywhere else I put miles on.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
well, I like highway driving. That's the thing. I mean, I just brought my LTD into the school. I took it for its like
you like highway driving.
Nighttime highway driving.
Oh, no,
I'm a thrill seeker.
I will take a back road if it's not somewhere like if I'm going somewhere where I have to go like it's just mundane routine. I have to go this way every I will take a highway. But if I'm driving because I want to enjoy where I'm going, the highway's not the way I go.
Maybe what I mean by highway, just to clear it up, not like freeway, not where there's cars around, but like highway, like long stretch of road with a double solid yellow line. Like here, there's a highway 8, for example. Katerina, you'll know what I mean.
Well, and even we consider highways here. We consider those are the double to triple lane freaking. That's a highway.
Yeah. Okay. So I think those are freeways, honestly. Even
no,
that's
we call them highways. A surface road would be the 2-lane solid yellow line.
Okay. Well, that's what I mean. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, it's interesting because
driving a rock at high speeds. That's.
I mean, the thing is, well, okay, well, no, I already know how Joseph is. I don't think. I mean, he might someday, but I don't think he'll ever attempt really to get his LTD up to 100 miles an hour.
I did it yesterday.
Did you really?
I have a car that I haven't put. I don't think I own a car that I haven't taken over 100 miles an hour.
Well,
okay. Well, yeah, not 100. No, well, no.
I can't name a car that I've owned that I haven't gotten over 100 miles an hour.
Well, okay. If you've gone 160,
I lied. The Trans Am, I don't think I've had over 100 miles an hour. Sorry, Kat.
If you have in your LTD, if you've gone 160 kilometers an hour, that's 100 miles an hour.
Right, so you said miles. I was thinking kilometers. I got it closer to. I got it over 100 kilometers.
Well, yeah, that's highway speed. So that's fine.
No. If I don't trade it for this AMC, we'll really see how that goes because I'm really on the fence. I can't decide. But yeah, no, 160, I would do it. 100%, I would do it. I'm just worried. I'll tell you what my main worry is with that car. My number one concern.
The sudden stop.
No. I drove it on ice. Yeah, I drove it yesterday, and I had to to Southwood just to look at an Impala, 81 Impala, and I was thinking I'd trade, but it's not worth it. I mean, I'll never find one of those again. But
I've taken early 70s Impala over an 80s Impala.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm just saying, like 80s ones were all crushed. But anyway, my point is, I was worried that like accelerating up to 80, 90, 100. I was worried that a coolant hose. That's my number one concern. Coolant hoses.
Oh,
something.
To be honest,
it's going to cool a lot better at 100 miles an hour than it will at 40 or 50.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
for the
actually, like,
update.
and,
Yeah,
and here's the thing: if you're worried about coolant hoses blowing off, don't. The only time when that happens is like, okay, you have it where it's not tight enough, which I know you tighten your hoses properly, and either that or you're making so much power that those stock hoses cannot hold on anymore.
Well, the thing is,
And
is
that's
Well,
why
they're
you
actually
see
it doesn't
on.
matter. It doesn't matter how much power you're making for a coolant hose to blow off. A coolant hose to
Well, no,
blow
no,
off, it means the coolant is too hot, which means it's under too much pressure, or you have
or
a head
there's
gasket
air.
leak and it's blowing air into the coolant system.
Well, yeah, steam
Yeah,
and pressure. That's the other thing is there's lots and lots of pressure. That's kind of where that concern came. Like if you squeeze the
But
upper
the only
radiator
reason
hose
it would
out,
have that much pressure is the engine overheating, which means the coolant system has already failed.
okay.
yeah,
Well,
which,
I don't know.
well, he's had that issue once.
Which one?
The
Well,
coolant system failing?
didn't you properly overheat the LTD?
No,
Oh, okay, I thought you did. Sorry.
no, God, no.
So you wouldn't need
That's
to worry
horrible.
about coolant line pressures. Like I said, old hose. So a hose that's already going to fail, which means it doesn't need to be worrying about how fast you're going. It's just, a coolant system failure, which either the radiator's not doing its job or your water pump has decided to take a dump. Okay?
Water pump and radiator, brand
Or
new
you
and
have
hybrid.
a head gasket issue.
I don't.
Yeah.
Those
new.
are the only reasons
like-
you would need to worry about a coolant hose blowing off.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I don't think you'll have those issues. Like with your car, don't get me wrong, you don't want to do it often. Of like, okay, I'm gonna take this thing to its limit. No,
No, because the rest of the car can't handle it. It shouldn't. It
No.
shouldn't say that
No,
it
look,
can't
I'm
handle
not-
it.
That thing
but-
rides like it's on the wheels.
Right.
Yeah,
but
like-
the thing is
oh.
it's a heavy car. Its steering, its suspension and braking system aren't designed for it to be traveling at those speeds.
I
and
think
possibly not the tires too, depending on what the speed rating is for those tires.
Well, quickly, those
Sure.
tires are fantastic and they're Goodyear. Someone spent some
Well,
money on
no.
those.
Here's the
But
thing:
also-
if they're a regular, like when you look at it, if it's not a ZR tire, it's not really designed to go over 100 miles an hour.
No. And what
They
happens
will
is
like
then the tire
explode
overheats,
in.
and then
Yeah,
you can
they'll
fail a
just explode.
tire by the fact that's
Yeah.
why they have speed ratings on them.
Right.
If you,
well, aside
like-
from tires.
Yeah.
Sorry. go
Like
ahead.
the thing is, your car at speed, for the most part, like it's not something you want to do commonly with any old car. It's just modern cars will do it a lot easier than old cars do.
Right.
It's just the amount it takes for an older vehicle to get up to those speeds as well, and plus with all the old parts and everything. Like, yes, it has a bunch of new parts, just like my car. Don't get me wrong, but the fastest I've ever been in my car is 178 kilometers an hour, which is 110 miles an hour. Now, that's not all it had, but I was running out of room to try and slow down, so I eased off of it after that. But it's just one of those things where it's no different than like just taking care of your car, right? Similar things, and also like a lot of the times when you hammer on your car like that and go really high speeds, it's not a bad idea afterwards to check your oil, just in case, because stuff can happen when you're at speeds too.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I'll tell you, for mine, not only tires for me. Tires are something you can change. I mean, that car, it has 273 gearing, and it's a highway car, so it's meant, and it's got that AOD, so it's meant to cruise at like I honestly think that car, if anything, would cruise at, closer to 100 miles an hour and just cruise at a low
sure, in a
RPM.
straight line.
And what?
Yeah.
It's the turning
In
and
a straight-
stopping.
Yeah,
Well,
in a
no,
straight
well,
line.
he's
Gonna be the
saying-
problem
well,
with
the thing
driving
is,
at that
let's
speed.
not
You're
use
not-
everything.
That's
It's an
kind of what
LTD.
Jesse was trying to hint at. It's not that the car can't run at that mile an hour. It's not that the engine can't handle it or the drivetrain. It's the reason why I said the suspension and the brakes. It's because that car is not going to want to make a sudden change in direction, and the brakes are not going to like trying to get that car to slow down from that kind of speed in any short time and distance.
On LTD, it is not a super.
Oh yeah, no. It's like I know what you're trying to say, but the thing is, if you're going to be doing that in an LTD, you're not going to be in a spot where you're going to have to take a quick corner. That's a big, wide open highway.
Exactly. That's
so-
the thing for me is I would only do it ever in a straight line.
Yes,
in
but,
Mexico.
and this is coming from experience. You
Mhm.
never know when you're going to have to change direction or slow down quickly.
That's why I don't pin it.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Like, the thing is, okay, if it's the middle of summer and you are on, for example, the number 2 highway, you're pretty much golden to do that. Because I've done it on that highway.
I guess
And
so.
like, and the thing is, because yeah, it is a populated highway, but you can have big stretches where it's no big deal, and as long as you're paying attention, you'll be fine. The thing is,
Well-
nobody's really gonna pull in front of you when you're doing those speeds. I'm not saying go do it there, but you can. You know,
I see what you mean. Well, okay, so run through a scenario with me. So my LTD, I'm worried about the cooling system. So let's say I gave it enough gas so that it would drop down a gear, like come out of overdrive. Let's say I gave it just enough gas to do that, and then pinned it. What?
well,
like
here's
so?
the thing.
Transmission-
Actually, if you're going those kind of speeds, you probably don't want to be in overdrive anyways.
No, that's the thing. So say I'm like accelerating so that it drops down and it's like revs up just a little bit so that I can pass somebody, kind of thing. And I'm already going, say, like 30, and then I pin it. Am I gonna blow up the engine? You think? Like, what do you think is gonna happen? Because those windows.
is not gonna let you.
You know,
The
you'd be fine. Like, the thing
going
is,
to upshift.
yeah, like, the thing is, what you would have to do in that instance, and it's no different than, say, like, if you're hauling a load up a hill and you have it in overdrive, you need to physically take it out of overdrive because it's not gonna do anything, and you could potentially damage something.
Yeah, that's why I would never pin it. Just pin it in overdrive. I would never ever do that.
I mean, you can. It's not the end of the
don't
like.
want
If you
It
pin it in
depends on the
overdrive, it's
situation.
gonna
But
just drop you down a gear. That's what it's gonna do.
yeah, wait, most likely, yeah, it should do that. But
If
like, the
you're-
thing
if-
is,
yeah, if you're,
anytime I had any fun in because my 86 had an AOD in it.
Right.
I took it out of overdrive and put it into first or second every time.
well,
On
that's just to force
yours,
it from
can you
trying
put
to
it?
kick
Can
up
you
into
properly
overdrive.
put that thing into? Can you probably put
Third.
that thing into third or no
Yep, third,
on
yeah.
yours? You
Third.
can? Okay, yeah. So then that's what I would do.
Right.
Because like
So that's what I
mine
would-
and yours is probably similar to mine in that regard, where you have the 2 gear settings where you could just have it in overdrive all the time, or you could have it in just regular drive, which is 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I even
Well, the
think
purpose
wait,
of dropping it
not
out of
regular drive.
overdrive isn't to keep it
It-
from hurting something.
Yeah.
It's to
Well,
it's to make sure that your engine you're putting enough torque to the rear wheels that you're able to make progress.
Right.
Oh, but
some AOD trannies will shit the bed if you put it in, if you pin it in overdrive. That's why I'm saying I'm so worried about it. So, those transmissions are pretty good, but still. But so that thing, I think, because it has that towing package, I'm pretty sure you can go 1, 2, 3. I think you have 3 separate gear selections you can do after drive, which is nice.
well, yeah,
So-
like yeah, and the thing is, yeah, because AODs can do that, C4s can do. Well, actually, C4 doesn't have that. I should say
C6?
all of the AOD series can do that, but even think about it this way. With that, talking to Sean there, 700R4, and say you're hauling a small load and you have it in overdrive and you pin it up a hill, you're putting more pressure on that transmission being in overdrive as opposed to regular gear. They tend to blow up,
Exactly.
and that's pretty common for
I'm gonna go
anything,
get my
right?
charger one moment.
Actually, you're
Yeah, right.
putting less torque into that transmission.
Well, I've seen
Well,
many
number one, you're not really
700R4s.
putting any more pressure on that transmission because the thing is, there's no physical connection between the engine and the transmission. It's a fluid barrier.
Yeah.
You're not
Oh yeah,
going
but
to
the thing
hurt
is, it has
The
to
most
it
you're
has to
going
push
to do
more.
is you're going to cause the car to bog because it doesn't have enough torque through the transmission.
Well, no, the thing is,
because of the higher
because
gear.
it's trying. Well, it's trying a lot harder in overdrive because the thing is, and that's why a lot of in towing applications with an automatic is you usually have a transmission cooler just in case of that because the transmission can overheat and whatnot. Same idea if you run just a regular, like especially his big boat of a car. Like
Well,
it's
yeah,
not
the
that
reason why
massive,
you have
but
the
in
coolant
overdrive.
overheating is because of the slipping in the torque converter.
Yeah.
You're not
Oh, yeah,
actually
but
going. You're just going to overheat the fluid. You're not actually going to hurt the transmission.
You can hurt the transmission by overheating it.
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely,
it
you can.
cause the clutch packs to slip.
Yeah,
But
which
the transmission's
can-
going to downshift before it gets to that point.
not always. Trust me. Not always.
Unless you have an ill-tuned kick-down cable, it's going to kick it down.
Mine has a kick.
But we're going to have to continue this conversation next week. Because normally I would stay on later, but I have to be up early, and I also promised Jess to spend a little bit of time with her before we went to bed. So I'm going to end the live stream here. So we can pick this up next week if we remember it. Thank you guys all for joining me.
You betcha.
No worries.
I actually wanted to end it an hour ago, but we had a really good conversation going. But yes, definitely much appreciate you, everybody that joins in the chat, and you two great people that come up here and hanged out with me on the up on screen. And
always a pleasure. Always enjoy to do.
We're gamers, so probably Funky Town maybe in 7 Days to Die. Because that's what we're gonna go do. We're gonna go game for a little while. But thank you guys, and we'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully, between now and next weekend, I will have revealed what is going in the garage. So stay tuned to the channel, Instagram, whatever, and we'll catch you guys for the live stream next week.
Sure, you betcha.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Catch you later.